everybody. Cam K back with you here on GeForce TV with a brand new look to our Power Hour, talking all about the NASCAR Pinty Series, finishing race number 12, episode 56. Can you believe it? We've already done 56 episodes of the show talking all about Canada's premier NASCAR series. Love the new layout. Thanks to Phil at Underdog Creative Company. Definitely reach out to them and reach out to Phil if you ever need any sort of assistance with graphics, with promotional work. Does fantastic graphic design and has contributed to almost everything you see here on the screen, and it really makes us look fantastic, and I really appreciate all of his hard work. With a new fresh logo, fresh feel for the show. We're going to be working on that intro as well, and continue to make things look fantastic here, and really beef up our game as the Pinty Series continues its season. 2 more races to go, and then we are off for the 2024 season. It goes quick, and it's unbelievable really how quickly things have gone. It seems like just yesterday. And I think I really want to hear from people right off the bat, because this is a new layout for this past race at Circuit ICAR. It is something that's really kind of needed, I think, at ICAR was a new, fresh take on things and a new, fresh appearance. Jim's already stated, I really thought that they had better camera placement this year and made it way better to watch. You know, the people learn. The team that does the broadcasts, they listen to what people have to say. They can see what people want, and it is going to make things very fun when you go back to watch these races. Not afraid to change things up and make it better for everybody. And so we'll have Regan McCauley coming up soon. We'll talk about our races that took place this past week. The race that took last week. We look forward to CTMP. And on top of that, we also look forward to who we could be seeing. We make our picks once again on who is going to be our pick to win at CTMP. It's not always the easiest decision, but we're going to give it a shot here. Just need to make some small adjustments after seeing stuff on the screen here. Still trying to make things look perfect, but again, Phil really did an amazing job here. We do have the scrolling standings. This is just a prototype. I'm looking of potentially making this a little bit bigger. It is too small, I think. Let me know what you guys think as well on the standings. I do think that they need to be a little bit bigger, but we got a new fresh feel here on the show, and I'm so very excited. We'll bring Regan McCauley. Of course, we've had Regan on several times this year for the majority of it to break down the races with me. Obviously still love hosting this show, but having another perspective. He's not as recent. He's more recent of a fan than I am. And I've been watching the Pinty Series dating back to NASCAR in 2003. So a lot more time watching the series. So having 2 different perspectives is always something that we really want to do. Jim says, changing the track made it way more racy, and it showed as nobody really got away. That was the biggest criteria for me that they needed to get right with this layout change, because no offense to Kevin Lacroix. I mean, obviously he knew how to race that track, but he got away, and there really wasn't much competition for an oval track race. You're always in traffic. This road course race, it just did not work. There didn't seem to be a ton of passing. This year, very different. Obviously, they were comers and goers the entire race. Trouble for some people. And then obviously, we're going to get into it with Regan. We're going to talk about it. It's the first topic I want to talk with him about it. But definitely the hot topic will be the move that Marc-Antoine Cameron made on Tagliani that caused him to spin. And we'll get into kind of that conversation. It doesn't really compare, in my opinion, to contact on the final corner that Trayton made on Marc-Antoine Cameron, very different. Mark was able to save the car, he didn't wreck. And in this case, it's kind of the same thing, but Tag did spin. So kind of one of those situations, kind of take it or leave it. It's tough. I really don't like seeing contact be the reason that somebody loses the lead. But it does happen. It is racing, and I think Cameron knows that they have to win the last 4 races of the race, at least the last 3 if they want a shot at Trayton Lapsovich. They got to really hope that things really don't go very well for the 20 team. It seems a little bit far-fetched that would be the case, considering how well that they've been doing this year. I was surprised Tag didn't seem too fired up like last year. Jim, I think he was, but Tag's also become I think he's become a lot more composed and not as emotional since he's had Eva Rose in his life, and I really think that has helped Tag. I think he's definitely, he still has his moments, but he's not the Tag I think that we've seen from years past. He's not the one that was fighting with Paul Tracy and in IndyCar. So things have changed, I think, a little bit, but he is still a driver that wants to win. And unfortunately, it's been the Cameron Trayton Lapsovich show. He's the only other driver that has gotten a win this year, and that's remarkable in itself. The fact that we don't have another team other than 22 Racing or Paillet Racing that has won a race this year is remarkable. And we really don't know what's going to happen in these last 2 races. Is anybody going to dethrone 22 Racing or Paillet Racing? It's absolutely crazy when you think Team 3 Red, you think WMI, you've got to think of Dave Jacobs Racing, championship winning team for so many years. And then, of course, Dumoulin Competition has not gotten a victory yet this year either. So it's insane when you think about this. They've done something that it is really hard to do that here. Really hard to dominate an entire season. Now, I really hope that next year we do get to see the DJK team get back up there. We know that they're capable of wins, WMI, and of course Dave Jacobs Racing. I would think that Dave Jacobs, JP Bergeron, Thomas Nouveau, I feel really, really talented drivers. I'm really hoping that JP seems like he's on the verge of just breaking into that next, into that next wave. Really, I really think that he's going to have an even better 2024. Again, we don't really know though. Like, that's the biggest thing about next year is we don't know who's going to be back next year, who isn't going to be back. Is Trayton Lapsovich going to defend his championship? Right now, I'm calling it right now. But Marc-Antoine Cameron is going to have something to say about it in these next 2 races. And one of the things that we can say is that there is still a window here. 38 points is very difficult to overcome in 2 races. As long as Trayton Lapsovich finishes well in these next 2, he should be the champion, no problem. Especially doing what he did this past week. He lost some points to Cameron, but he didn't lose a ton of points. So it is something. 51 down to 38 is something, right? But do I think that that's what's going to be the case the next 2 races? I don't know. CTMP, Trayton Lapsovich pulled off a win. He's been really good on the road courses this year. I mean, his lowest finish, I think, this whole season has been a 6th place finish at Toronto. So clearly they're working well. But I want to bring Regan McCauley in, and we'll bring him in, and we'll chat about everything and get our predictions for next week. And so let's bring him on. So we're here for our race recap once again with Regan McCauley. Rigzer is here. We're going to talk about Circuit ICAR, and I'm I'm okay with this one. I'm okay with the layout. I think the layout was better. I just don't think I'm going to be a fan of the circuit. But for 25 cars on this track, one glaring omission: Brandon Watson not there this week, so that was a little bit surprising. But um, as far as it looks, he is going to be back for CTMP. Originally, there was not thought he was going to be, but it sounds like maybe he is going to be at CTMP. But we're going to start off, Riggsy, with the hot topic here, which is Cameron's move on tag, and then kind of what he had to say about it afterwards. And this is obviously a hot topic because we got a lot of people that were upset at Trayton's move. To me, this was a little bit more on the side of aggressive than what Trayton's move was. This seems like I got to do it now instead of, I can wait another lap. I'm never a fan of making a move that takes somebody out. We've seen it countless times at CTMP. What's the famous one? Noah Gragson in the Truck Series when he made the move on Todd Gillen and took them both out. Like, I don't like moves that take somebody out of the chance to win. I saw a lot of people that are not happy. A lot of people that say this is it. There's nothing wrong. Reezy, what do you think? I know this is a loaded question. This really is.
There's a lot of ways to think about it. Because of course you're going to get people that will like it. You're going to get people that will hate it. You're going to get people that think it's fair. You're going to get people that think it's unfair. And then people will look back at what happened with Lapsevich and Cameron and be like, oh, hey, if that happened, this can happen here. Or, hey, that shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have happened. You're like, it's all over the place. It's completely all over the place, which it's such a hard argument because I know one or two people said that Cameron simply like got loose. But then I feel there could be an argument that, well, he was too aggressive, which led to him getting loose in the corner. But again, though, when I first saw it, right off the bat, I was not a fan. But I knew I had to. I knew I had. There had to be multiple looks at it, and hearing someone say that he got loose, like that, also did help. But at the same time, though, I would say the main part is it hurts because it happened like way before the final lap when very well Cameron could have kept it more clean until the final lap. Like it may have been too early. Again, there is that argument that he got loose, but at the same time, though, it did kind of seem like he still went into the corner a little aggressive. It's funny because like being in a journalism program, trying to look at this from a journalistic perspective where you're trying to stay on equal grounds, but then there's that fan side of you. When something like this happens,
exactly,
it's a clash. It's a freaking clash.
If this isn't a 22 racing car, then maybe I would say maybe it was accidental. But we know that there's rivalry between 22 Racing and Cameron and the Paille Racing team. This is insane, though. The fact that we've got 14 races throughout this year, and we haven't had a winner outside of 22 Racing or Paille this year. That's unbelievable. That in Kevin Lacroix, Andrew Ranger, Alex Skinnett, JP Bergeron, DJ Kennington, Alex LeBay, we're not talking about little racers here. LP Dumoulin, add another one on top of that. LP Dumoulin, Raphael Lessard. These are really reputable names that aren't getting wins. It is pure domination by two teams this year. And unfortunately, the fact that they get into each other, I just don't like seeing this when they're the top two fighting for the championship. And naturally, it's been Trayton versus Cameron. No, I don't think that the move that Trayton made on the final corner of the final turn of CTMP was egregious. I felt like this was over aggression. As you said, I think that he would have got him in the next lap or so cleanly. He could have. To me, it was the dive to the inside where I think he just overcooked it. And if you carry too much speed, can't control the car, get into them, it's what happens. At the end of the day, there were great storylines, but this, of course, overshadows it. And that's
because right, like I knew, like before that film, whenever I saw Cameron closing in, I'm like, we might get a classic finish here, which could easily make this race overlap every other one that we've ever seen in the past. Where the layout we saw last year and years past, it was just, it was on a downfall. Yeah. Like the entertainment value was almost gone. Like the restarts were fun, but the long runs were just not there. And there were guys that were just straight up dominating. It was nothing like back in like the mid 2010s where we saw like guys like Ranger and Lacroix absolutely going at it in the final laps.
Yeah.
But this layout actually, like, it was interesting, especially throughout the field. Like there were battles throughout the field, and I know
that's what you want though. And that's the thing is I don't feel like we saw that.
Well, starting someone else. Yeah.
Well, we know that this track is it's difficult because it does offer some good passing. How do you feel comparative to, like you said, there was battles throughout the field? Is the race too long? Is it too long of a circuit for one lap? Should it be shorter? I mean, all these questions you could ask, but I mean, I really don't know what the schedule. We don't know what the schedule looks like for next year. Is this an attempt to try and stay on the schedule by having a new layout? I would think that there's probably some truth to that, because we know that there's some people that would not want this track back, others that would love to have it back. Obviously, with it being a NASCAR track, it does help. They have a family very close. Obviously, the Arsenault is very close with NASCAR. So, and I like that we get some names that come out to race additionally, because it's another racetrack of a road course nature that's not just GP3R. And I think that's where iCar does have its place, is that it's another road course in Quebec, because we know Mont-Tremblant is not happening. That's not going to happen. The question still is Montreal, right? That would be a third race, probably. And that's, again, we're all in kind of limbo here, because I feel this attempt was much better than the previous couple of years. I think that this shows the fact that you can have guys come from the back to the front, where I feel like we kind of had there was some moments of passing in the past, but like we've talked about for a while, actually, road course racing, it can be good, but it can also be very, very dry if nothing happens. So this was a great kind of awakening over the last 2 years. I mean, there was a storyline, Marc-Antoine Cameron obviously winning the pole, getting the most bonus points. But at the end of the day, I think the bigger story here is Trayton Lapsovich finished 4th. He didn't finish 25th. So ultimately, he needs to do that 2 more times, and he's the champion for this year.
And the thing is, too, like, he was at the bottom of the top 10 for most of the race. Like, he had there was pace there where it was a little concerning, but he was able to make his way up because there was other stuff that ended up happening, and he took advantage of the cautions and that break that happened just past halfway through the race. So again, it's like you say, if he continues to do that for the next 2 races, then he'll be just fine. He'll probably, and I would imagine he'll probably end up winning one of them at least. Most
Delaware would be a good bet.
But oh yeah, for sure. Especially too after what happened there. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yes. Yeah, I think it owes him. Well, actually, I think even the past every race that we've run there, he's had some sort of trouble, and he's
Almost,
run up
yeah.
front. He got that big wreck
Yeah,
in
he
the
and
second
Tags was
race.
this?
Um,
He and Tags 1 year?
yes. That was the
Yeah, I think, yeah.
2021 battle. 2020, yeah, the 2021 battle where Tag had
One of those years, yeah.
an awful two races out at Delaware. And but then he was also in prime position to win and got wrecked. And it unfortunately has kind of been a trend for him at Delaware Speedway where he hasn't been able to pull off a victory. Ultimately, 38 points is not it's not a giveaway for him. He's not a champion yet. He needs to, again, we're looking at potentially a field of another 25 plus field at CTMP this upcoming weekend. And then Delaware, we might be back down to about 24, where we were. I think we were on 24. No, we had 28 last year, I think. So if we get to 28 again,
last
I
year's
don't
wreck
know.
might have spooked some guys.
Yeah, that it might, but again, we don't really know what's happening with the 9 car. I believe right now I've set the who kind of came up with their plans earlier this year, and there's a good, like, we right now are looking at potentially 30 at least for CTMP, which is fantastic. I love that. That's if everybody does end up coming out to the race. So right now I did get confirmation all 3 Klutes will be there. David Thorndike will return to the series after a 2-year absence, so he'll finally be back. Brendan Watson is scheduled. Daryl Timmers will make his return. So as of right now, I've got it listed at 30. There's 2 still questionable names in terms of Brent Weller, who typically runs out there. Michael Gowdy ran in the spring, so there's still room. But 29, 30 cars for CTMP is fantastic. And then, of course, Delaware, which I still think that I don't really know enough of the names that could potentially show up. I've got 22 listed right now. David Bear, who raced at Oshwegan, is going to race there. Obviously, we've got the boys from out your way, Brandon McFarland, Josh Collins, are supposed to make the trip. I don't know about Daniel Baugh. We know Ryan Dyson will be in the 28 for DJK Racing. So a solid looking field for the finale. Like I said, you just got to limit those mistakes. And if Cameron goes out and wins these next 2, all of a sudden he's got 6 wins. And maybe it's looking a little bit more scary for the champion potentially. And would that be a story though? Can you imagine?
And if we were somehow able to get 30, like if we are able to get 30 cars for CTMP and something happens with Lapsevich, that's a ton of points. That's a ton.
And I believe if it's based, I think it's based off of like, depending on the position that he's at, if he were to finish, he's had trouble at CTMP before with mechanical stuff. He's had wrecks at CTMP in practice, so he can't have that. But at the same time, the 96 has also had mechanical problems at CTMP, but he's also won there. So, and both of them have won there. Cameron was not very good at Delaware last year. So he got into a lot of people. And that's the other thing that we have to remember here. Tag isn't going to win the championship this year. So if Tag's pissed at Cameron, I don't think he'll have any problem moving him. What does he have to lose, right? It's his teammate in the championship lead. Now, it's creating a massive rivalry heading into next year. Whether or not we have
remember post-race Delaware a couple of years back.
I do. When it was 22 Racing and Team 3 then. Now Team 3 has kind of moved on from their rivalry, I think, with the 96, but you can't go out ticking people off. It's not a good idea because they're the ones that are going to face you next year. And is based, especially based off of how we've seen the 22 racing guys be next year. They could look like, I think the rest of the field really needs a wake-up call. I mean, we both thought EHR was going to be up there. They were stronger. They've been stronger, but just not enough to be at 22 racing and at Pi Racing's level.
It's like the momentum completely swapped. Like Gannett, like at Sunset, Gannett in the lead there, looking to upset Lapsevich. But then as soon as that move was made, Lapsevich took the checker flag. It's as if the momentum just completely flipped, and that's what it's been the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I can't say like Gannett has been awful, but the luck certainly isn't where it was to start. And I don't think the hype isn't as. And I picked him to win at iCar, and unfortunately didn't do very well. Now his grandfather did better than he did, which is great to see. I love that story. I love seeing that. I want to see it again personally. We got to give a little bit of love to some of the guys who struggled, because I believe you may have called Kevin Lacroix. I believe you did pick him to struggle.
I had it in my mind whenever he started running into those issues, and I'm like, it's right? Still, I'm like, we always say whenever someone struggles, it doesn't matter. Like, it's usually a case of if they wreck, but no, if they run into mechanical issues, that also does count.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this one was a little bit harder to know who was going to have. And listen, I do actually like seeing mechanical. I know it sounds crazy, but I like seeing mechanical failures in racing, because it shows that it's like the Cup Series now. There's never any engine failures. There's never any like issues, and just like the big giant wrecks at Daytona, which. Holy moly, I'm glad we don't see that here. But I've got to say that the underdog stories this year continue to impress. Larry Jackson getting a 13th place at a road course out of 25 cars is what would have been unheard of a couple of years ago, especially if you were to ask him himself. You know, he's said routinely that all he wants to do is make it to the end of those races. And he's doing it. Like
he is actually, I don't think ninth in points.
Has he had? I don't think he's had a DNF this year, has he? I might be wrong, but maybe Sunset. I can't remember how. No, he did well at Sunset. I think he finished in the top 10 for that race. So for him, that shows whatever they're doing is working.
Racing Reference is running for every status.
So. Like amazing.
He's completed every single lap, other than a couple of races where he was like laps down, like Edmonton, Saskatoon, which amazing, and also as well Chaudier. But those tracks make sense. There's going to be lap traffic at those tracks, exactly. But every other one, he's been on the lead lap. So,
and that's
perfect
for him. Like, that's fantastic, and that's what for a series like this, to see progression of other names is welcoming, especially for a guy like Larry that's got a good partner in O'Neill Electric Supply, who came on board. And I mean, they signed, I believe, a couple-year deal back then. Hopefully they'll be back next year, because clearly that program is working. He and Howie Scannell clearly have got something working. We just saw Aaron Turkey and Trevor Monahan have driven their stuff previously and been successful. So I think that we're on the right pathway here. We head to CTMP this weekend. CTMP is a crapshoot, it seems like every year. However, you can't discount the 96, you can't discount the 20, but then you've also got the 74, the 27, the 47 especially, who hasn't won in what it seems like forever. I almost feel like he didn't win it all last year either, right? So if we're going on almost 2 years here, LP is going to be very, very, very.
It's ironic because Dumoulin's last win was Most Sport 2021,
which is crazy when you think of it.
And that was the year he won the title.
Yeah, well, and that's that. But that's also the year that the last year Abe Robin McCluskey's crew chief.
Yeah.
McCluskey went over to Paillet.
And
And
then
then all of a
everything
sudden,
changed.
yeah, exactly. So now all of a sudden, but they're rebounding, and I think for LP Dumoulin to finish in 5th place at iCar shows they're getting better because at the beginning of the season, I don't think that they were where they wanted to be. He was not very good in points, but they've moved themselves up to that 4th place. He is starting to show once again the old LP Dumoulin, but when we go to a place like CTMP, I think I've got to look at a guy who's got some good funding for this weekend. He's got a brand new partner, couple partners on that car. Gary Clute. Obviously, could have won this race I don't know how many times Gary Clute's been close to winning. He's only won it once. So I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with
back
the guy.
at the first race. I would have said, screw you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the guy who, I mean, I am saying that because I've picked Cameron a couple times and he has won. I do think he'll be probably the fast one once again, but I'm actually going to go with a guy who's really, he's going to be ticked off. He's going to be mad. I'm going with Tag. And I like that pick. I think Tag is gonna race his heart out and try to win at CTMP. And I don't think we can ever really count him out. He wasn't really in the show that much in the spring. I didn't feel like it was the Trayton Lapsovich and Paillet racing up there. But I'm gonna go with Tag to win. An underdog, I'm going to go finally with Thomas Naveau as long as they can have some good luck. I was going to pick Kyle Steckley because Kyle impressed so much in his dirt debut, but dirt racing on an oval, I think, is very, very different from road course racing. I still have a lot of faith he's going to do very well, but I'm going to actually say Thomas Naveau if they can keep the mechanical problems away. Somebody who I feel could struggle. You know what? I'm going to have to go with the momentum that's kind of trending downward in Kevin Lacroix. I hope I'm wrong, but it's just one of those when you start to see those performance issues and they start to dip. I don't want to pile on here, but since GP3R, they have not been the same. It just actually since the Western Swing, they just kind of went down the stairs and haven't been able to climb back up again. So I'm going to say that those three are going to be with my picks, but I'm going to say a close second for LP to potentially win. And then I guess a second underdog for me would be Kyle Steckley. And the second somebody else to struggle, I got to go with my man Wallace. So I will be happy though to see David Thorndike back. It's been 2 years since the 67 has been on the racetrack, and after some health issues, he is back racing. So that's great to see. All right, I've given you lots of time. Who are you going to go with to win, or an underdog pick, and again, we don't have the official names yet. This is just speculation right now. So we're going to have to figure out what it's the WeatherTech 200. So honestly, picking an LP Dumoulin for my second, was probably a good idea for our WeatherTech graphic here on the screen. So,
well, I like to be the guy that doesn't choose the same drivers as someone else, but straight up you picking Tag. If we had a double Tag,
I'm going to pick him and he's going to win one of these days.
If we do a double tag and he actually imagine he wins in dramatic fashion, it's actually a rivalry thing against Cameron, that would be the funniest thing ever. But I'm gonna stick to the different thing.
Okay.
And this is where I get stuck between two names.
Okay. I picked two, so you gotta go with two now. Because I want to hear the explanation why.
Oh, come on.
I want to hear the explanation.
Okay. LP Dumoulin, Gary
Okay.
Clute.
Okay. Why?
Well, Gary Clute is, well, because can he please, for the love of God, win one here?
Yeah.
And Dumoulin, I don't know, man. I mentioned earlier, his last win came at Mo's Sport, and he finished fifth there earlier this year. He got a good finish at iCar in fifth as well. Like he's starting to slowly trend up, as you were saying, and then there is that kind of weather tech thing where he'll want to impress his sponsors. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that. But I'm going to be confident in this one, and before you know it, Lapsevich and Cameron will probably be up front doing their good old thing again because, well, screw everyone.
Yeah, probably.
But I always try to have the confidence in anyone but them.
Yeah.
So sorry,
Well.
Drayton.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, now for I guess I'll do two underdogs and two
Yeah. We might as
strugglers.
well, right?
Sure.
Start the trend here.
Yeah, for my two underdogs.
I guess when with the field being so big, I think we
Yeah,
can afford two.
go three, honestly. But you said Kyle Steckley. I'm picking him as an underdog.
Yeah.
I think he could definitely impress, and he's shown that potential more and more as the races have gone on this year. For a second one though, you know what? He finished eighth last week. Daniel Bois. I gotta go with him. He's always good at this track.
Yeah, he is a driving instructor at this track, so he knows what they need is no mechanical problems. That's what they don't need. I'm going to hammer it down because I know Brian Ellis and that whole crew, like they are fast. It's just that they've had the bad luck, right? And it's hit them and bit them. And you know what? It's almost like a sophomore slump for them because they were so good to start out the season last year. And then this year, it's kind of been a real learning experience for them because they have gone to all the road course races. I don't know if they'll make the Delaware race. Ovals really haven't been their thing, but they definitely have been very impressive. I think we've got to talk about one other guy because he's going to be home and he'll have his own stuff there this time. Sam Fellows wasn't able to race there in the spring. So I'm very excited to see what he'll do. I really hope that now I thought that when we went to iCar, we were going to see the Dale again. Unfortunately, we didn't. But I would love it if we could see the Dale scheme one more time this year for Alex, even just Delaware. I would take it, please. Because I really want to see that live. I want to try and go first of all to Delaware and see the finale, but I can't believe we're already 2 races away from the end of the season. Like 14 races.
I still got strugglers to pick. Are you aware?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm hoping that you'll interrupt because you have them already.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, I'll continue your point. Huh?
Yeah, wait. So we don't want to wait for hours and hours.
I have them, but I'll continue on your point very quickly. Yeah, no, it is hard to believe that we have gone so far, and like it's already nearly September. I know that for this weekend myself, I have to be at a racetrack off the island 3 days in a row, and then I gotta be back here on Monday, and then I only get 1 day off before I go back to one more year in college. So yay. But as for strugglers, I was trying not to laugh while you were talking there. Andrew Ranger.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
I hope you're wrong though, honestly.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
yes.
I hope you're wrong too. Yeah, this'll be it's just one of those years, man. WI finished last again with Glenn Stiers at iCar. I think they're about done. They're probably ready for this season to be done.
It's probably no wonder I came. I lost by inches on that random wheel for the Andrew Ranger piece thing, whatever it was.
Yeah,
in that winning contest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's taken me way too long to realize I still have never picked JP Bergeron as an underdog, and I'm shocked. I feel bad.
Well, you should.
I think because of that, I won't pick him.
Okay. Well, he did again. I mean, he's still got another top 10. You know, I don't know if he's going to be somebody that we pick as somebody that struggles, but I am very curious what next.
Oh, he's not
means.
struggling.
What next year means though? Is that the year? Is that the year that year 3, like you've got to start getting those top 5s and consistently? I mean, it's not the Fords. We know it's not a Ford issue, but is it a confidence thing? Is it crew chief? Like there's something, and he's got such great supporters, but something's not, they're not to that next step. They're not there just yet.
Quite literally, I could simply predict. We have a wreck like last year at Delaware again. Only this time, it takes up more of the field, and then Bergeron wins. I could do that because
that's
freedom.
A good point. Very good point.
We shouldn't be predicting that in this series, though, knowing how it's.
So you picked Ranger. Yeah. That's one.
Oh God,
you're gonna go 2 for 2 with WMI.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to get flamed for this one.
Well, that's what we do when we make picks, right?
Something in me is screaming Thomas Naveau.
Okay. We're going to go opposite. We're going to go opposite. I pick him as an underdog and you pick him as
I don't know, man. So
one of us is going to win out of this.
I would feel so bad though.
Yeah, me too.
I just would.
He seems like a good kid too, and was having some momentum, but it's like the road course stuff has just not worked for them this year.
No. You know what? I'll go even more evil. Cameron struggles.
Interesting. Now that would be a turn of events though, because ultimately this has been one of his best racetracks lately. But we have talked about this.
Tag.
We have talked about this in that mechanical troubles have not hit them yet. It hit at practice, not during a race. They really haven't had a tough, aside from Osh weekend, they really haven't had a tough season at all. So this will be interesting. Very interesting to see.
Lapsevich and Cameron struggle. Let's do it.
Honestly, a mid-pack battle between the two of those guys would be fun to watch. It would be great.
And funny as hell.
It would be. As long as we don't get to just intentionally wrecking each other, which no one wants to see that. That's just ridiculous. But
it would not surprise me.
If we can go 3 years, 4 years back and we just have a battle between Lacroix, Ranger, and Dumoulin, the top 3, and let's add a Bois and Fellows in there, and then all of a sudden the top 5 are battling for a win. That makes it real fun, Yeah. We also don't know, the weather's been so unpredictable this last couple of weeks in Ontario. I have not even looked to see what the long range forecast is, because
I think it's good. All 4 days over here, I think it's good.
So I would love it
so far
if we got something interesting. Now, rain, we haven't done a full wet race in a while, a long while. I don't know how. Well, no, it looks okay. So it looks like rain on looks like a lot of rain on Saturday, and then all good on Sunday. So pretty clear, pretty sunny, pretty hot. So it'll be very interesting to see what the track's like.
Humidity pissing off drivers.
And you know what? I'm actually not even looking at the right day. Hold on. Nope, sunny both days with no chance of precipitation.
Yay, still tempers.
So, but it looks to be hot. It's going to feel 32
tempers.
degrees. It's
Tempers,
going to look like
tempers,
30. Yeah.
tempers.
I mean, we don't need any more tempers the way things have gone, frankly. But we want to just throw out another quick thank you to everybody at NASCAR for all of their hard work this year. It's obviously a bit of a grind, 14 races across all of Canada and lots of travel. But once again, putting on a thrilling championship, and from eastbound all the way out to Edmonton, and is just remarkable to have a Canadian championship like this, and bringing in some new names and new faces. Hopefully we get to see even more next year. Maybe some new partners coming on board. We've had some new ones this year with Aviram coming into the series. Obviously we want to make sure that we see these guys come back, not just stay in for 1 year. Obviously GSR coming back with Glenn Stiers, but helping Trayton Lapsovich come out and be a part of things. GM Paillet, obviously, with their extensive support of multiple race teams across all the series. Asa Abloy for coming on the 3-car. All the partners on the Napa car, just mirroring what we see in the US. I absolutely love seeing that. But Riggsy, so far, we're going to have 12 races done out of 14. Trayton Lapsovich is the points leader, 38 points over Marc-Antoine Cameron. But we're heading out to CTMP. It'll be fun on Sunday, and then we'll have only one race left, the Fall Brawl at Delaware, to settle it. How can people find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, Regs are on YouTube and TikTok, Twitter as well. You can find me, Regan McCauley, on Facebook. I'll be active. I'm active as per usual with the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, Facebook community, NASCAR Pinty series community as well. Just keeping things up, keeping the energy going here in Canadian motorsports as per usual.
So we love to hear. It's Regan McCauley here on the Power Hour on GeForce TV. Turn that on. I want to thank Regan for joining us again. Become a regular co-host of sorts on the show. Talk about the races with me, and obviously it's nice getting a different opinion as well. I mean, obviously different age group. I mean, he's a lot younger than I am, so he's gonna have a different opinion on how things are. And obviously this year has been a solid one for people in Ontario to watch. We've got a battle between Ontario and Quebec this year. It has been between Trayton Lapsovich, 22 Racing, and Marc-Antoine Cameron out of Quebec. And I think that's, it's in a way there's a rivalry there. I think that there's some respect. I'd hope there'd be a little bit more. I don't think that things have gone the best in terms of rapport between the fan bases. I've seen a big shift from where we were before, especially after the season that we've had. There's been a lot of accusations thrown back and forth regarding the cleanliness of the driving and then the integrity in the cars. That obviously hurts the series, but I don't want it to take away from what we've seen, which has been a remarkable season with a lot of storylines and a lot of great talent behind the wheel. I think some of the names that we've had coming into this series, we'd love to see again. There's a definite buzz with the series. I think the crowds still are being maybe not mentioned as much, but there's considerable difference at some of the races this year. We have seen smaller crowds at some venues, and I wonder whether or not that will be playing a role in what we see back in 2023. Whether we see this in 2024 would be very, very interesting. I don't know how much movement we'll get in the off season. Very quiet. You never know as well. We don't know if there's going to be a driver that just decides, you know what, I'm done after this year. There's, drivers like Donald Teege have been doing this for such a long time. DJ Kennington, such a long time. And, the official entry list, Jeremy, is not out yet. All we have is my best guess, essentially. And that's based off of previous press releases, previous plans that were announced, and conversations with drivers and teams. So what I can do is just name off who we've got rumored right now. Right now I only have a couple that are question marks. So for Labor Day sprints this weekend at CTMP, Glenn Stiers, JP Bergeron, Alex Gannett, Peter Kloot, Brandon Watson. Don't know if he's back with the 9 team that he has been. I'm not sure why they weren't at the last race. Maybe it's funding. LP Montour, DJ Kennington, Alex Deglani, Trayton Lapsevich, Kyle Steckley. Of course, they had already announced that he was going to be doing CTMP. Thomas Nouveau, Andrew Ranger, Daniel Bois, Alex LeBay. I've got a question mark for Michael Gowdy. He did race earlier this year at CTMP. They did have the wreck at Oshwegan Speedway, but maybe they do have 2 cars. That's potentially an option for him to be in this race. Ryan Kloot has been confirmed. LP Dumoulin, Herbie Drescher will be back. Gary Kloot, he'll have a brand new looking race car, some new partnerships on that 59. Brent Weller was not in the race in the spring. I've got a question mark. He did race at this track twice last year, so maybe we'll see him. He's been surprisingly not at the races this year. Wallace Stacy has confirmed to be back by EHR. David Thorndike and Promotive Racing have been confirmed to return. They've got some new partnerships. I'm not sure if that press release has come out yet, though. Kevin Lacroix, Jocelyn Fecteau. Fecteau did not race at ICAR, so I was expecting him potentially to be there. So not sure if he will actually make the trip. Normally does, though. So we'll see if Jocelyn is able to race again. Larry Jackson, Sam Fellows, Dexter Stacy, Mark Antoine Cameron, Daryl Timmers has been confirmed for the 98, and Matthew Skinnell. So we are looking from anywhere between 25 to 30 right now. 30 being the max I could see us having. There could be some surprise entries, like a Simon Charbonneau, who drove the 88 earlier this spring. Serge Bordeaux could make the trip. It's hard to say. I can't see DJ calling it quits yet. I think he'll definitely be back next year and could announce a retirement tour for next year. Love DJ. This series needs him. He definitely isn't going anywhere as long as he's got Castrol. If Castrol ever to say, we can't do this, then I think it definitely hurts. But I agree with you. I think DJ needs to be in this series as long as possible. I think he also has hope for his son Chase to be a part of the series. Chase Kennington's starting off racing already, so I think he'd love to be able to do a race with his son, and that's definitely a potential plan, and it could very well be in the cards for him. Donald Teege, I could maybe see Donald if he wants to slow it down a little bit. I could see him maybe only doing races in Quebec on the ovals instead of race. Like basically would just be like Chaudière and maybe GP3R. I'm not sure what his plans are with the race team. We already know Chantel Kalika. They have sold their race car. Bush Racing has sold it. Puts them in the mood, not the mood, but in the area of potentially renting a car from somebody like a DJ. And that's, I think, why DJ is so important, Jeremy. Like, as you mentioned, he's also a very big source of rentals. He's able to prepare cars for teams to use, similar to like the Dyson and Wayne Hanlon situations, where it's not actually DJK Racing that is going to field the car. It's going to be a DJK prepared car. and that's always very, very useful. I love seeing Alex LeBay back. He might be somebody that we have to watch for next year. He has not been able to do a full season this year in the Xfinity Series. He's driven for many different teams. I don't know if he's really interested in doing that again next year. If he's got partnerships this year with the Dominic Lucere team that he has just started up, that very well could be a permanent solution for him if he wants to come back home. I would love to see, obviously, Andrew Ranger, Malcolm Strawn, Daryl Timmers, all these names come back, Dexter Stacy. I could see Wallace maybe not wanting to be back. Glenn Stiers absolutely loves the Pinty series. I've been told many times that he's absolutely. I could see Glenn Stiers wanting to expand and have a second GSR car, and really we don't know a whole lot about people's situations heading into next year. A lot of this all comes down to the funding, and I would say Marc-Antoine Cameron's probably the only one that is definitely secure. DJ's probably definitely secure, and Tag, as long as they want to go and they want to race. Tag's another one that I could see him going well into his later years racing. He's so good with partnerships. Having a young family is always a reason why people step away from motorsports, but I think right now we have a lot of young names that are coming up through the series that have potential to be really, really big. Obviously, Trayton Lapsevich is one of them. I think you've got to add Kyle Steckley to that list. Thomas Nouveau being the third, JP Bergeron being the fourth, LP Montour. These are all names that are going to come in and eventually make their presence felt. I think 2024, like we've talked about on this show before, that is the time to really look and see the push made for this series. I think if you have a big race at Montreal next year in combination with the Cup Series, that's the type of big push that this series deserves. I want to give a big shout out once again to Joel Robinson, Adam Ross, Dave Bradley, Clinton Jeffrey, the entire team that puts on the broadcast, Todd Lewis, a fantastic group of people. Pit reporter Kendra Adams has been a part of things. Obviously, all those that are behind the scenes that maybe you don't see on camera, the cameramen and women, and then of course the team at NASCAR that has to put these events on for us fans. Have really stepped up their game this year. Caitlin Patrick with the social media side of things. Liv Whistles joined that team. Obviously Matthew Manor, who takes a lot of the photos that's taken place. Doug Gondor in charge of the series. And of course you've got to look at Tony Spiteri in charge of NASCAR Canada. Fresh Stone coming on board as well. So there's a lot of great things that the series has got. TSN Plus and Flow Racing for every single race this year. There's been live streaming, which can't say that we had that years and years and years ago. So very positive things here on the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour on GeForce TV. I want to thank Phil once again for this beautiful new layout. Thank Regan McCauley for coming on board and chatting with us. And I want to thank you, the fans that tuned in and listened tonight on GeForce TV. Keep it tuned. Of course, we'll be back for the entirety of the NASCAR Pinty Series season and then into the off season. And then, of course, you've got your weekly programming with Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey. And, of course, weekly racing at Oshwegan Speedway and the APC United Late Model Series. Fall Brawl is next for them. Make sure you guys come on out to the racetrack. If you can't, though, check it out on GeForce TV. Subscribe, give us a like, and we will catch you all next week here on